Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you? I was just
I'm
watching a video of your new grandbaby on Facebook.
Oh, awesome. I'm posting them,
Yeah.
guys. Yes. I have questions here that I hadn't really looked over because I was busy yesterday with having my first grandbaby. I mean, my first grandson. I have a granddaughter. So anyway, I'm posting a couple of videos and a picture on today's
Yeah.
post. So
Oh,
if I
so
sound
sweet. I watched it
unorganized,
like 10 times.
oh, he looks like a porcelain doll. He looks just perfect. It's just
Just
amazing.
sucking his little thumb.
I
So sweet.
know. Oh, that's when they're innocent. And Nick, the daddy, says, "Does this come with a warranty?" Yeah, and it expires when they're 13 years old. That's it. Hi,
No
Eric.
kidding. What's up, Mom? He's
Hey.
pumped today. He's all smiles. He's all excited. And when I was getting ready, getting dressed, blow drying my hair, he was making fun of me. He was like, Kim, nobody cares what you look like. Because I even put perfume on. I mean, it's just my thing, my routine. He's like, Kim, nobody cares what you
it's
smell like.
it
Nobody
smells really
cares what
good,
you look
Kim.
like.
It smells really good.
Good. I'm glad
We
you like
we have
it.
smell-o-vision. Anyway, Eric, I was wondering if you could do something for us. Can you bring in Mother Mary for a an interview?
He's funny. He's like, I can bring in Mother Mary. He's like, tell Kim to calm her nerves down. He's like pointing at me. So
Take a
just
deep
been
breath,
trying
Kim.
to like,
Take a
yeah,
deep
connect
breath.
with him. And it's interesting. I have to ask you if this has been requested a few times or something,
Yes.
because Eric makes me feel like this is overdue. He's making me feel like this is long overdue. And I feel like Mother Mary is already prepared.
Oh,
So there
good.
must be more than one request.
Yeah, there has been, and that's why I don't do so many celebrity interviews anymore because it's not about channeling Eric. It goes away from our model, but people love it so
Yeah.
much, and it's been a while, and they keep requesting. So here we go. Fetch, boy.
He says, well, in response to what you're saying about the celebrities, he says, well, Mother Mary is something that a lot of people have requested. This interview is something a lot of people have requested and something that a lot of people are going to be able to connect to on a deeper level than maybe some celebrities that we could have brought through.
Okay.
So he says, I'm digging it just as much as all of you are.
All right. Good.
Man. So, as he brings her forward, the feeling that I get is, it's very literal, very straightforward. I feel like I'm surrounded by the ultimate mother feeling, that
Wow.
strong sense of security that you get when you're with your mom, and it's like nothing in the world matters. Like you have no worries because your mom's there.
Mm.
Um, but it's to the nth degree, it's just this strong sense of security and strong sense of I feel like I'm just going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So
That's so
very
nice.
calming, but very powerful energy.
Well, I'm
Um,
just going to go over this list of questions that, again, I have not read. But Mother Mary, thank you for coming forward. I'm sure your words are going to help so many people.
she's thanking you for the work that you do. She's actually taking a moment to thank you for the work that you do. And she says it's important to remind you. Um, you've been told many times, but she says it's important to remind you of the true reality of the inspiration you are to many. She
Oh,
says it might seem like you hear this over and over, but what you do is truly life changing. She makes me feel like you are answering a call. You're fitting your purpose, and she's thanking you for that. So she's wanting
oh,
you to just recognize that and
oh,
reflect
thank
on
you.
that.
Thank you, but of course, it's all Eric, really. I'm just his secretary. I'm his lackey.
She says, but you have to take credit for your hard work.
Yeah. All right. Uh, okay. Now, here's the first question. And these are just all random questions from them. And some of them, I've read a couple of them, and they're really good. How true were Jesus' miracles? And do they differ from the Bible's version?
She says the feeling that she's giving me is Jesus's miracles were very straightforward, very um, literal. I just feel like very straightforward. She's saying it's all, she said, it's all in the eye of the beholder. But what she's talking about is what you witness is based on your beliefs. So
Okay.
some people witness miracles because they were open to it and believed that it was possible. Other people, possibly in the same place, didn't witness it as a miracle because they weren't capable of that belief.
Well, it's like the Indians when the Spanish conquistador uh, approached the coastline. Um, Many of them did not see these big ships because it was not even in the reality. Now, is it sort of like thought creates reality? Like, hey, turn water into wine. I'm doing it with my thoughts. Is that how he operated? I mean, like Erik, you can manifest things instantly with thought.
She says exactly, and the power of it. She says the power of it comes from the knowing of its possibility, the aligning with it being possibility. So some people, again, like the Spanish conquistadors, I
Mm-hmm.
can't say it, but them not having that in the reality, not sort of encompassing that in the spectrum of what they can perceive. It's very similar, it's the same, she says, as to what people witnessed when they were with Jesus. If they didn't encompass that thought,
Mm-hmm.
that belief, they couldn't perceive it that way. But for Jesus, she says the reason for the miracles was the complete, absolute alignment with belief and knowing.
Okay.
So it's in order to manifest a miracle, she says it comes without question. So no matter if you're turning water into wine, it's an
There's no doubt.
absolute. Exactly.
Okay. Well, we're going to make it really quick, these answers, because, I've got,
Wowzer.
I know, so a lot of them are just real quick. So, Mary, you're going to have to give us the short version of these things. Now, was your story different than how it was portrayed in the Bible?
She says not really. Most of what is still being carried out and understood and taught from the Bible is pretty much what she experienced and the experience of others as well. Um, the only details that would be different would just be specific to her perspective, she says, but it doesn't change the meaning of what happened. So it's
Okay.
really like minor details that are different, but
Okay.
it doesn't change the meaning.
All right. What did you do after he was taken off the cross? After Jesus was taken off the cross?
Oh,
I know you. It's hard. You lost your son, and I lost mine. So I'm not going to compare myself to you, but poor Kim.
she says she didn't elaborate. She just says I wept.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm trying to ask her like, what did you do? Did you go somewhere? What were you with somebody? And but it's at the same time she says that her weeping was miraculous. Um, she says that she understood it to be miraculous because of knowing the teaching that would transcend time and space,
Mm.
um, of his death, knowing that it was a sacrifice. So for her, it was the depths of grief at the same time of understanding the miracle behind it.
Yeah.
So it was, but she says also that she understood that her weeping was pure. So not exactly sure what she means by that, but her weeping was pure. Um,
Well, you're tapping into
sometimes,
a mother's grief, aren't you? Is that what you're feeling?
yeah, I mean, she put me in her shoes. Like I
Oh.
saw it, like I just felt like I was there, and just yeah, very emotional.
Yeah.
But still, it's like I understand that my weeping is pure. Everything that just happened is pure. It's not in there's no ounce of negativity. There's nothing in vain. Um, it's hard to explain. It's purity.
That's
So,
fine.
you know, when we lose loved ones, it's like we get angry. We have all these different emotions, but I don't think she felt that way. It was just
Okay.
pure.
Well, did you realize when they took him down that he really wasn't dead? I mean, we interviewed him and he said he didn't die on the cross. That he was eventually he just got his pulse rate and respiration rate way down, so it appeared like he was dead, and people saved him, and he eventually moved to France. Did, were you
She
aware of that?
says that at the time that he was put up on the cross and crucified,
Hmm.
nothing changed about her relationship. So it's not like how we experience it as humans. We lose a loved one and then it changes. There's an absence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she didn't experience that. There was no
Oh,
change in our relationship, and there was not an absence of my son. It was a continuation. But part of her, she's expressing feeling like I feel like she already knew that that would occur.
mm-hmm.
Like she knew that there would be a continuation. Um, but for her, she makes me feel she's saying that she had a strong ability to stay connected with him.
Okay.
Um, oh man, it's so hard because she's saying so much, so trying to squeeze it into a little bit,
Okay.
little amount of
Well,
really
that's
hard.
fine. I can imagine. But all right, so, one person would like to know if there's a past life you had other than the one as Jesus' mother that was very important and influential for you, or another life, since there's no past, present, or future, since everything's happening now.
Um, she is referring to answer that question. She's referring to another incarnation, and saying that she's showing me herself as a child, and not living into adulthood. Like I feel like she
Mm,
passed as a child, teenager, and this incarnation is influential for me to understand. Sort of, I hate to put it in layman's terms, but I don't really know how else to say it. But to understand the bigger picture that
mm-hmm.
you're not in control, and experiencing that transition from that human age, she says, from being a child and experiencing your transition, knowing you're going back to a larger source was probably that life was probably the most influential for me, other than this, she
Okay.
says, because of understanding we're all children, we're all a child of a higher
Yeah.
source, we're all in a
True.
lower
True.
aspect. So she says that she prefers that. She prefers that perspective, a child's perspective.
Okay.
Interesting.
Now, did you go to France when Jesus left there after he was taken off the cross? And apparently he had some children with Mary Magdalene, and according to him.
She makes me feel a hard no. Um,
Did you
I
know he
don't
was
feel
still alive though? Did you know he that, or did you think that he really died? Obviously, until you crossed over.
um this is how she's answering that. It was too hard to face. So I think she knew that the possibility was there,
Hmm.
but almost too difficult to face. And she's very much bringing up something you've said a lot, Elisa, and that is if I went there to find him, and I didn't, then it would
Oh,
be like losing him again,
yeah.
um, but in a very different way. So she felt like the way that she experienced losing him on the cross was, to her, it was closure and dignified, she
Okay.
says. So going that route just wasn't, uh,
I
she
understand.
just
I've
says no.
been there,
She was,
done that. I understand. So you felt like he was dead, but you felt, well, if he could, there's always a chance, but you weren't willing to seek out that chance because if it was not the case, then all right. What do you think about the state of the world today? And most importantly, how can we best protect our children from the environmental toxins? Now, what do you think about the state of the world today, and do you have any advice for us?
She says, my advice is to always look into your heart first. Um, she's kind of laughing and smiling. She says, if you could take your eyes and put them at your heart and look at the world through your heart, everybody would be much better off. But
Oh
we
yeah,
don't
yeah,
tend to separate from our heart when we try to see the world. So she says, I encourage everybody to see the world um, from your own perspective, and try to see it from your heart. And she says to um, not to comment or judge or gossip on things that happen outside of you, because that's what changes the vibration of the world, of the state of the world. So if it's like, oh, we see that nasty thing happening and we want to reflect, and we as humans want to say, why did that happen? Um, Instead, just see it through your heart and give love to that
yeah.
situation. Because if you give negative emotions or reactions, it becomes this big collective negative
Oh yeah,
consciousness.
sure. Well,
So
what do you think about the state of the world, though?
that's what she's getting ready to say.
Okay.
She says that um, the state of the world is a much more beautiful place than humans allow themselves to see. The love is bigger than humans allow themselves to encompass. The purity is more definite than humans and people allow themselves to see and feel and experience. Um, excuse me. That's part of the human experience, she says. But if we can open our hearts to be able to see that side or focus on that, then that's what you'll experience. But as far as the state of the world, she says it's very beautiful. It's a lovely place, but you have to want to be in that place. It's
When you
all
talk about
about,
the state of the world, you're talking about including humanity and its
mhm.
ugly parts.
She's talking about like the whole thing as
Okay.
far environment, people.
Okay.
Um, she says, oh man, that's okay. She says the things that are happening now are no different than um, thousands of years ago. We had robberies, we had
Well, that's
murders,
true.
she says we had the same thing, and it continues. It's just that now as humans, have many more ways to have awareness. So TV, social media, it spreads like wildfire. So back, thousands of years ago, things were much more localized and you
Okay.
didn't see it affect the world like it can now. So, but again, she says it's all about everybody's unique perspective and how you want to experience the state of the world. She
Well, we
says it's
could.
a scale.
Yeah. Well, we can use
She's,
that. Oops, my daughter's calling me from the hospital. But
oh,
yeah, I mean, the good thing about being so global is we can unify and be positive, do positive things, think positive things. Now, here's a question that has been asked. I see it several times on this list, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, because I don't know that it's that important. But they want to know if you were really a virgin when you conceived Jesus.
I love her reaction. She's laughing. Like, as these type of figures come in, you expect them to be just calm and serious, and she's laughing.
Oh,
So
good.
it's nice to see her
Yeah,
just her reaction.
I was a little nervous myself asking that
Yeah,
question.
no. She says, again, she says, please have mercy on yourself. Don't be nervous. That just about every single human being has thought this or asked this, she says. But she says for her, um, she's making me feel like, yes, she was a virgin. And then as she's showing,
Now, your son said you were not, and he laughed.
she's getting into this big description about the manifestation of her pregnancy
Oh, okay.
and how she keeps going like this. She keeps pointing up and showing like connection to God and understanding that it was a manifestation, but she makes me feel like obviously in the beginning she didn't know that she was pregnant or she didn't know what was going on. Um, but then understanding the manifestation and why. She says for her, um, it had to be this way because for the whole experience, it had to be. I had to conceive this way and out of the pure state through manifestation for a lot of reasons. She says to show. Again, this kind of goes back to what she was saying about the miracles, and if you are open to them, being able to experience miracles. So for her, it was an absolute pure state of understanding and being open to those miracles, but also like allowing that manifestation within her and allowing that to be a part of her journey or her process, she says. But she's sort of saying that, like, the whole purity of it without having, conceiving as humans do now, without having been a virgin, she says it just wouldn't have worked. Like, I'm
Okay.
not quite sure what she's
Well, here,
talking about, but she says,
here's a continuation. Maybe this will help. Let's see that. Uh, Somebody listened to some YouTube and said that prior to conceiving, your body had been altered by aliens, Arcturian slash Pleiadians, so you could conceive a special type of human like Jesus. Is that true? Just a yes or no.
she says no. And then I asked her, I said, well, what do you mean about this pure state, the virgin thing? She's talking about the energy exchange that happens when you're not a virgin and you conceive. So for her, energy had to be at its purest
Okay.
to be able to sort of foster the manifestation of a pure soul like Jesus.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, we'll go on.
not,
Well, go
yeah,
ahead.
nothing.
Okay.
She keeps shaking her head no, that she
No
was a virgin.
aliens. All right. Now,
No
here's
alien.
one. Is A.J. Miller, search YouTube, really Jesus? He claims that he is Jesus. I used to listen to him, but his girlfriend, who claims to be Mary Magdalene, is a bitch. So different personality than the one in the Bible, so I doubt he is really Jesus. Just a yes or no. A.J. Miller, is he Jesus incarnated now?
She says, I'm sorry. She shakes her head no.
Okay. All right. Now here's one. Were you really sinless? And Jesus too, I guess she or he wants to know.
She actually says yes for both. But I feel like the reason why, because I immediately when she said yes, I'm like, how? Why? How?
Yeah, how is that
She's,
possible?
yeah. For her, I think it was just oblivious to. Um, it's sort of the same concept, so many people, you have those people in your life where you're like, man, they're so naive. They don't know that there's bad people out there and they just go out there and they're so naive. And she says, you are only capable of what you have inside you. So of seeing, what you have inside you. So the same goes for sin. Like if you're sort of never exposed to it or you're oblivious to it, it's not a part of you.
Okay.
So I feel like her and Jesus were parallel in that, we're the
Well, I'm
same.
impressed. Wow. How was your relationship with Joseph?
How was it with Joseph?
Mm-hmm.
She says it was a very interactive relationship. She says that he taught her a lot about self. She's going like this, like self dependency, depending on self. But like I feel like he sort of showed her that unnaive state, I guess if you want to call it that, or that outside perspective. Like I feel like she's just oblivious with this
Okay.
purity, like this. I want to call it like this. There's this thick like halo
Of
cloud around,
purity. It has
and I
a little circle with a slash through it with sin. No sins allowed. I get it.
I feel like Joseph though sort of gave her that polarity, like helped her see the difference
Okay.
between herself and him, and how people are different. Um, that was a huge part of my exposure, like why I was exposed to him, why we had a relationship. Um, Understanding the differences and understanding like those polarities, she says. Um, she's just very, when she talks about him, she's very grateful that she says that he taught her a lot. And I feel like it's very, I said, well, what did he teach you? And it's like life skills.
Oh,
It's very earthly, tangible type of energy. So it's like life skills, like living
okay.
off the land or
But
something. It was very.
was he a good father?
She says he was a good leader. She said he was always a good leader. Um, I said, well, was he a good father? Because she said leader, and she said yes, he was a father to many, or like that leader, father figure to
Okay.
many.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
she said he would never. She said he would never turn anybody away if they need guidance, if
mm,
they needed assistance. He wouldn't turn anybody away. He wouldn't not try.
okay. So how was their relationship, Jesus and Joseph?
Um, this is where it sort of changes a little bit. Um, she said the word easy, but then she's also showing me like a separation between the two of them.
Okay.
Um, to me, this is like just, I don't feel any negative energy, anger, or
Okay.
anything like that. I feel like just two completely different people. One doesn't understand the other.
Mm.
Um, and she says for Joseph, he was a very good leader and wouldn't turn away. And as it's sort of like he sort of turned around and found that in Jesus, like found that through him. So, but it was confusing to him, like feeling that draw, that connection to him as his leader,
It was
um,
confusing to Jesus?
to Joseph.
Joseph. It was confusing to Joseph to have Jesus as a leader? Is that what you're saying?
Because, yeah, at first Joseph had this like leadership type of energy, this
Yeah.
very strong fatherly leadership energy. And then, like, as Jesus grew in himself, then he found himself drawn to Jesus and seeking out um, leadership from him or guidance from
Ah.
him. And that's sort of confusing for Joseph. Not in a negative sense, though. It was sort of like things are changing, and I don't understand why. But then she said he also didn't need to understand. Right?
Okay. All right. Eric, I'm going to pretty soon stop this session and then we'll record another one just to make these not so long. Eric, ask a question of Mother Mary.
He goes. He's like, okay. He says he's asking her if she could give advice. Eric's being very specific. If she could give advice to young females,
Oh,
um, what sort of advice would you give? Young females, I feel like teenage kind of girls. What advice would you give? So she says, there is a lot of, and she's very heavy, so this is a huge thing.
mm,
She says there are a lot of young girls turning into women that place their self-worth elsewhere. They don't carry it within. So she says, if I could pass along any advice to young women specifically, it would be to understand your self-worth before anything else, before trying to obtain it anywhere else. You are the true essence of your own self-worth. Nothing else can justify that. So she says if young women can focus on that, that would change so much and change their experience. So just the advice that she gives.
That's awesome. That's such good advice. I can't think of any better for that
Yeah, I
age
told
group.
Eric,
Yeah,
what a cool question. Didn't really see it going there, but he said, for young teenage girls, what advice would you give them?
that's awesome.
So,
All right, well
yeah,
we will close
pretty cool.
here. I'm just going to pause the
Okay.
recorder and we'll restart with more of Mother
See you on
Mary.
next.
So you guys
Okay.
watch the messages at the end, okay? Really important. Bye.
Bye.